And welcome everyone to the Man Cave. I am Paul Knapp, and I will be your host for tonight's show. This is episode number 41, or if you watched us last week, I guess it's episode 40.75, which is about how far we got through last week's episode. So we'll talk about that tonight a little bit. And tonight's sponsored by Jif.
Yes, my favorite.
Peanut butter.
Woohoo!
As choosy mothers choose Jif. I hope I don't get sued. Waiting in the green room is our special guest, Shawn Wright. Shawn has been a professional photographer for over 30 years. He has written several books on production automation and chroma key imaging, and has recently started combining his photography talents with toy collecting. And hopefully he will give us some helpful hints on how to do better toy photography for ourselves. As always, I like to highlight other YouTube channels, and tonight's plug goes to a buddy of mine, DJ from DJ's Trains. I know you guys may or may not be into model trains, but DJ has a really great site, and he is a current Norfolk Southern, I believe, engineer. So he combines his engineering skills with his toy trains, which is great. As always, I'd like to thank all my subscribers, and three of my newest subscribers are Ken Jensen, Nighthawk, and Onion 2.0. Next week, our special guest will be Felipe Monaco. He is a toy customizer since 1994 and founded Luco Por Bonicos in 2001. And he was the first Brazilian artist ever to be invited as a special guest to Toylanta. So maybe we might be able to get Buddy back on, and they can talk shop a little bit.
I don't think there's enough time
for both of them. And let's get on to our introductions tonight. This is what everybody waits for, right? Right, Jim Egner? This is what everybody waits for, right?
Jimmy does.
You're at the top of the list, buddy. I'm starting with you tonight, all right? So, Jim's got the squeakiness in the background. If you guys are hearing that, that's Jim's. He's got a new bird chirping. You want to tell them what
Charlie?
This man started collecting G.I. Joes after he quit his 10-year part-time gig as a Chippendales dancer. This is Mr. Jim Egner.
Yeah, y'all found out. Sorry about that, y'all.
It was just a part-time gig. It wasn't full-time, so yeah. This guy isn't a player. He's the freaking coach. This is Angelo Di Annabelle. You guys got to clap because I don't have a clap.
We got to get the clap on, clap off.
Clap down, yeah.
I'll try better next time.
This guy has often been mistaken as a Russian mafia hitman. This is Rick Bradshaw.
You found out. I'm sorry. You found out.
Hope you weren't hiding because we just put it out there, bro. And last but not least, we haven't seen this gentleman in quite some time. Some people have Kodak moments. Some people have Xanax. This guy is pure straitjacket. This is Mike McCarthy. We've all had the straitjacket once in a while, Mike.
Actually, one of the best rollerblading videos of all time is called Straight Jacket. So that's that's appropriate.
There you go.
I'm a big rollerblader.
Very cool. Very cool. Man, the chats are blowing up. I didn't even get to finish the intros yet. So, Play Scale Soldier, he's been putting out some stuff on. I don't know if you guys follow him, but he's been putting out videos left and right. Big Boss Jack. Okay, so here's the deal. Big Boss Jack. He's always the first on my videos. Is he the first on you guys when you post stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, him or Eddie.
Oh yeah, Eddie Burton. Well, at least I know Eddie Burton's real name. I want to know Big Boss Jack's real name. So I want to see him post that in the chats tonight. Big Boss Jack's with us. Andy and Indy. Andy's been he's been road tripping, man. Do you follow him? He went on a road trip and picked up a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
toy hunting.
Yeah, he picked up the G.I. Joe Hall of Fame Rhino Jeep. He told me so.
And the helicopter though, he picked up that helicopter too. Tim, glad to see you, man. Missed you last week.
This Big Boss Jack Farley.
Oh, it is. He put a real name up there.
Yeah.
Now
you got to get him on the show.
Yeah.
My Toy Life. Hey, Santa Claus is with us tonight. Hey, we still got to work on a Santa Claus show.
I think we should. We have to. I'd like to do a Thanksgiving one, but that's like just We're
Yeah, well,
in between, and
we're a little late for that one, bro.
we definitely got to do Christmas.
Action Joe Figs, he's been pumping out a lot of videos too lately on the short ones. I like those short ones, the reels and things. So
Well, that's what all the kids.
Looks like Robert's on the discussion board.
Yep. What's up,
Robert DeCastro? Hey, what's up, buddy? All right, well, let's go around the room. Oh, Angela Egner's back again. You know, that lady's been stalking me, man. I hope we're gonna have to find out who that is, if that's a real name or if that's an alias. Well, hopefully my internet won't crap out this week. So let's get this started. What's new in the zoo? I'm going to go backwards. What's new in your zoo, brother? We haven't seen you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I had a pretty fun weekend last weekend. I went and saw there's a horror movie out called Thanksgiving, and I'd highly recommend it. Although, you know, it is extremely gruesome, but, you know, pretty funny. On the G.I. Joe tip here, I've put this Cotswold figure together, and, you know, I've got several different Cotswold figures, but I just love the way that this Hasbro the Defenders jumpsuit looks on this guy.
Yep.
And you know, I got the newer olive drab boots they produced, and his harness, his holsters, olive drab. So
where'd you get that weapon? Is that Cotswold too?
Yeah, I think so. It's a Tommy gun, and yeah, I think it's Cotswold. So yeah, I've been excited about that. You know, it's been a week or two since I got it, but I can't stop looking at it. Just I think the jumpsuit looks cool. But yeah, just been hanging around. I was pretty sick. I had the flu, but I'm back, so I'm good.
Wow.
It's good.
Somebody just posted they liked your video on the police officer that you did. I saw that one too. That was cool.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. So I was inspired by your live stream with Greg Atori. You know, to kind of, you know, really think about the classic collection, because I have my original classic collection figure I got in like 1996. You know, it was like the basic, you know, infantry with the white T-shirt and the green pants. And, you know, at the time I thought he was a little goofy because of how skinny they are compared to the Hall of Fame, because that was like my point of reference. And to this day, I think they're a little short on the short side. Although I like the proportions of the body now. You know, it's more realistic to how humans look. But I just didn't have any classic collection stuff in my collection other than that original figure that I've hung on to for, you know, 25 years, you know. Yeah. So so I picked up, and you know, I'm a retired you know, correctional officer. It's like a sort of a branch of law enforcement. So I have an affinity for law enforcement stuff. And I've been looking at that Trouble at Prosperity Bank set for years. And so Greg, Paul's live stream, and with all you guys and Greg talking about the classic collection, I started some eBay searches and was able to pick up the Trouble at Prosperity Bank for, you know, $15 plus actual shipping in the package and everything. And it was made really well. And I could tell what Greg was trying to do, and how that classic collection immediately improved whenever he kind of came on board. And it was like a slight rebranding to Adventures of G.I. Joe, and had the cool comics, and they got away from the wood paneling, cardboard backings, which I think are cool, but it was a good refresh. So yeah, I've been excited about that, but I'll stop rambling and let somebody else.
You're fine, man. You're fine. Angela doesn't need to talk tonight.
Yeah. Hey, I am gonna jump in real quick though. Action Joe Figs, you're looking for the police officer uniform. Is that with the short sleeve blue shirt? If it is, I got one at school. You can have it. Just send me a message later on if that's the one you're looking for. Short sleeve blue. All right, go ahead,
Mr. Rick Bradshaw, the Russian mafia. Go ahead, man. Your turn.
They're in the back. I'll show you a quick kit bash I did. I posted a few photos on Facebook, and I'll give Angelo a shout out.
Hey, there you go, brother.
Oh, look at that.
This is one of Angelo's flocks.
Look at that hair.
Angelo, when did I buy this? 2 years ago?
Yeah, we were at the what show was that in
New Hampshire? by Bob LaFrancois put that show on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Not those shows are so small, but good thing he's doing them. He's doing something. And the outfit was something I grabbed from eBay. I think I got this from Rattlesnake Toys.
Yeah, they do great. They have great stuff.
Yeah, they break down the figures.
Yeah,
And,
I love them. I love the shirt.
And 21st century mountain climber boots. But he made a good AT. He makes a cool AT guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
he
Of course, you got to have some firepower because he's walking through the woods,
Yep.
And
Watching a grizzly.
Indiana Jones satchel bag.
Nice.
But it's funny because I haven't done a kit bash in a long time, and this was fun to put together. But that's what I got going on.
That's my favorite figure to flock, especially with the longer hair.
Oh, the head sculpt is great.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, and your turn.
All right, my turn. I'll go quick. Crazy up here in upstate again. It's freezing. Like I got my little neck warmer on because it's so god dang cold up here.
And that's in your house, right?
In the house. In the house. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, report cards just done, and parent teacher conferences right after Thanksgiving. So I'm gonna get hammered with that for 4 days. So busy with all that kind of stuff. Well, I've been pumping out the YouTube stuff. I put out there 3 of my Thanksgiving comics, and then I put them all together into a comic book format that I was trying to sell. And I'm doing the same thing with the Christmas ones. So the Christmas one, this is about 60 pages, full color, and hopefully we'll be talking about some picture photography this evening. So maybe I could get a better camera to take some more pictures. And I put a lot of different shorts up on YouTube, all different winter outfits. So that I have probably about 40 different figures that I'll be posting the shorts of with all different winter outfits. I think I put 5 on already. And then I found this really cool thing.
Oh, dude. That's to scale almost, huh?
It is almost to scale. You're definitely, let me see, we'll get the Age Adventure next to it.
Wow.
So
that's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty close. It's really cool. I was going to put together another Christmas set and use that reindeer, but the thing's so doggone big, I can't find a big enough box that will fit with the figure and the comic. So that's what's happening up here in the the Great Northeast.
We had a question already from the chat room. Somebody wanted to know what a kit bash was. You want to explain it to him? I think it was roller boot.
For me to kit bash, you just using different companies, grabbing a piece here, piece there from different companies, slam it all together, and make your own figure.
Yep. Could be arms or legs, could be just outfits, right?
Yes. Everything and anything, different heads. Sometimes I use a dragon head sculpt because it looks really cool. Put it on, a classic collection body, using, like you said, Rattlesnake Toys outfits, or a Monkey Depot or Cotswold, whatever it is, and just make your own figure look the way you want it to look.
There you go. And Mr. Jim Egner with the squeaky
printer going on here. Yeah, it's been pretty busy over here at what did Robert call it? The TK560 Labs or something like that.
I thought it was Santa's workshop.
Yeah,
well, maybe that too. I tell you what, it's been crazy. I lost a printer about 2 weeks ago. It was 5 years old. It was 2-year-old printer when I got it, and I ran it nonstop for 5 years, and it finally just gave up on me. And I had to get something to replace it with. And the printer there got a little bit on the noisy side, but it's a lot faster and it's a lot more automated. So it gives me, I don't have to spend quite as much time fiddling around with making it work. Although I do have to reslice everything. So I'm only going to be using this printer to print the projects that take forever to do. So I'm hoping that'll fix some of my production lag issues that I've been having. As far as what am I working on here, can't really talk too much about it. I've got a project for Terry Lee. I've got one for Angelo. I've got one for, I already did the one for Robert. I got one for Mike Boinski. I got one for Greg Brown, 2 for Greg Brown. So they're just a bunch of custom stuff that people have asked me to help out with. So yeah, it's been pretty busy. And I guess the last thing I'll probably talk about is, or anybody recognize what that is?
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
For the headquarters.
Yeah, that's a request. So I'm finishing up the final bits and pieces on that. I'm still working on the Avenger Pursuit Craft wing. Things, kicking my butt. It's always a pain to try to print something that takes 24 hours to print. I've got to make sure I've got it as close as I can get before I send it to the printer, because I know it's going to be a day before it's ready for me to find out it didn't fit. So that's kind of where I am right now. Oh, I am working on. Anybody know what these things are? I don't know if you can see that or not.
No.
I think it's the high voltage gauge, maybe wrist gauge. A little obscure piece there.
Who asked for that? I mean, was it vintage or was something? Vintage?
Yeah, it's from the high voltage escape set, the second
really?
issue of it. Yeah, and so it's just a little. It goes on his wrist, and I don't know what it's supposed to do, but it's kind of funny. I got to going through the vintage 3D GI Joe's Adventure Team setup, and I've pretty much done all the Adventure Team stuff. So that was a few straggler pieces that I haven't quite gotten to. So it's kind of funny. I never set out to do all that, but people keep asking, "Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not? Let's go have some fun." So that's kind of where we are. That's all I got.
Hey, we have the president from the AOA watching us right now. Woo. Jeff, how you doing? Speaking of him, I just watched his last video, and I think in the background I saw a jail cell that looked very similar to the one you made for me. Jim Egner, is that? Oh yeah, now mute your mic. Yeah, mute your mic now. yeah. I thought that was an exclusive for me, bro. And I was watching Jeff's video. I was like, oh shit. I recognize that in the background.
See, I made 3 or 4 of those for you guys.
Oh, really?
No, I don't.
Ah, look at that. No. All right. Well, that's cool, man. I'm glad Jeff is here. Adam was here last week. I don't know if he's still in New York or not, man. So somebody just said, pump it up. We got 23 people in the chat room. I don't want my internet to crash again, man. I don't want too many people in the chat room. I don't know what's going to happen, man. Last week was crazy. Little explanation. I lost my internet for a little while. Angelo told me to totally log off and log back on. The minute I did that, all 4 of you guys lost your internet, and Jim was left hanging by himself. So, but he carried the show, man, and we got 47 minutes out of that hour. And I talked to him, and he said he definitely wants to come back. That he had a great time. So
good, very.
That was a good show.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it was, man. So. Well, I don't want to keep our mystery man waiting in the green room much longer. He's about to fall asleep on us. He said his meds kick in pretty soon. So I'm going to bring this gentleman in right now. We'll make him nice and big. This man's body cracks like a glow stick every time he moves. But he still goes to work every day because that's what he does. This is our special guest, Mr. Shawn Wright. How you doing tonight?
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's great to be on this show. I'll tell you what, Paul, all you guys, man, you do a great job. You know, this community is new to me. That's funny that somebody asked about the kit bashing, because I said, I think I know what that is because I've heard it used, but I still feel like I'm pretty new to this. So I love that you're all such great ambassadors for this hobby. It's a joy. So thank you for having me.
Well, I like that most of the members in the AOA, we're 1/6 scale guys, mostly. Not exclusively, but we try to keep that 1/6 scale going and doing whatever we got to do to keep it up, man. So
yeah.
So before we get started, you want to give people a little bit of background on yourself? I mean, I gave them that little intro, but if there's anything else you want to cover before we get started with how you're starting to incorporate toy photography in here?
Yeah, I would say that. Well, I mean, I've done feels like millions of images over my life. I'm still new to toy photography, so to speak, but the principles are the same. So actually, this is the first image of any toy photography I've ever made, and I actually made it into a poster to put up in my office. And this is my office now. And my wife says to me the other day, she said, "What if you have to do business and your live stream or you're, on a talk with somebody. I don't care. This is my office. This is what I'm going to do.
Good.
I think it adds character and personality. So
That's right.
That's cool. We got questions already about the RV in the background. I know.
yeah.
I recognize it, but I don't know if you want to talk about it.
That's beautiful.
Well, yeah, that's thanks to really you inspired me, Paul. When I watched your videos on that, I was like, oh, this is a thing. I didn't know I could do vehicles. Like, it's all new to me. And then our buddy Andy from Indy, who's just a great person.
Yeah.
I went and got this guy from him. I was telling him, I said, man, I'd like to make a photographer guy. He said, well, there's one out there. And so he starts telling me about this guy, which is pretty cool. The guy that hunts the white tiger. And so then he said, there's one up here. He found one on Facebook for me. We end up connecting because I was on my way to after my son played football. He plays at Illinois State, and I go through Indy. So he met me that morning, and I gave him one of my stone zombies, which are pretty cool that I had, and he gave me that. And so then he goes, oh, by the way, I got this Barbie bus. And I was just lit up. So he had found that for $20. So that beat your deal even, Paul. I did have to order the roof, for I found that for $12 on eBay, but that's
easy. Yeah, I bought mine when I was in the at the Kentuckiana show, man, and I didn't get it for that cheap, but I'm in pretty good shape as well, man. So.
I'm going to show you something too.
Yep.
Oh,
shelf's coming down.
My Yeti fell over.
You changed the wheels. You changed the wheels.
Yes.
Man. That's cool. I didn't notice that from the video. That's cool.
I just found out on that Wishbook website that in the 80s they did another production run of that Barbie camper, and it was like the Barbie and the Rockers tour van or tour bus. So there's a purple one out there. If anybody wanted to make a purple custom, they wouldn't have to paint it. They could just hunt down the later version. It's the same mold, but
same mold.
So it's the Barney version.
Yeah,
the Barney version. Hey, Paul, put me up big so I can show this to Sean.
Sir, yes, sir.
If you can see, talking about photography, this is
the World War II photographer.
I've got that, Angelo. That was one of the first kits that I ordered. I haven't opened it yet, but I thought it was funny though. Those are old Leica cameras. They look like it, and I was like, I got to get a bigger lens, because.
Yeah, that's a great set. I got another one. I don't know if you saw any of the Bigfoot sets that I made. I have some really nice camera on there with huge. One's got a really huge lens. So if I get that before the end of the night, I'll show you that one too.
That's great.
There's a question in the chats. I am not attending the Kentuckiana Winterfest. I'm saving my money to meet everybody at Dallas Fort Worth next year, and I'm also going to Toylanta this year. I'm taking the place of Angelo.
Yep.
To be the guy on the ground. Angelo can run it from his computer. So.
I am going to Winterfest, and that'll be my very first G.I. Joe convention. So I'm looking forward to being there. In fact, I even reached out to the guy because that's actually only about 30 miles from me. And I told him, I said, hey, if you need help, let me know, or if I can be a guest speaker or anything, to help the community. So I'm excited about that.
Very cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Logic Blaster's in the house. He just put up some good videos this week as well. Man, everybody's visiting tonight. Does Monday Night Football suck tonight? Is that why everybody's watching us or what? I don't know. All right, first question.
Sean, yeah, that's what it is.
First question
for me, right? Yeah.
How can we, as generic toy photographer people, I don't know what you want to call it, but how can we improve our toy photography? What if you had to pick one thing, let's say, is it lighting? Is it angle? Is it inside, outside? Is it what can we as beginners, at least for me? I mean, not Angelo. Angelo takes good stuff, but what one thing can we change or do better?
Well, one thing I notice is that when I've looked through some of the sites, Rick has that site that's really good on Facebook, is that, it's easy to get into these filters, right? And some filter on your phone or maybe on the computer or Photoshop. And and think, click a button and make it instantly look different. But in reality, then you kind of get stuck in a rut. And so I would say, be willing to explore different things. It happens as professionals too. I'll see guys who their style looks the same from 30 years ago, like, so I would encourage you to explore. And that's the best way to learn photography, is to make mistakes. As a professional, you can't make mistakes, right? I'm a hired gun. So, but you should know what you're doing at that point. But I would say whether you're using a phone or whatever, just try different things, try different angles, try adding a light if you've never done it before. Try, if you've never used Photoshop, try it. You can do a trial on that, stuff like that. So that would be my best, is stay out of the ruts, keep trying new things.
Yeah. So we all don't have to rush out and buy a $2,500 camera right away, though.
No.
Or
just to get the best pictures.
Or even try different figures. Try shooting different kinds of figures.
Or use your microwave.
Or use your microwave. Or the oven.
Right.
Make sure you take the figures out of the oven before your girlfriend turns it on.
Yeah, right.
You've lost. I know you've lost one that way, Rick. Two. I remember seeing that, and I know you always use that microwave because it looks like an awesome, like alien-esque, sci-fi set.
Well, because I don't have room to build dioramas and stuff, so I use what's around me, And sometimes you can hide it, and sometimes you can't. Sure. Sean helped me on a great shot of Dirty Harry Clint Eastwood that I had shot against a plastic tote, and he pointed out that you got to kind of cut things and look at this, and it turned into an alleyway, which was really cool. It ended up looking a lot better than I thought it would. Really did. It came out nice.
Yeah, we have Mr. Steve Stovall with us tonight, and he was the organizer of the Kentuckiana show.
Yeah.
And he asked, would a photo contest be a good addition to the Kentuckiana?
Oh, I think that would be great.
Oh, yeah.
All these guys on Facebook that I watch that don't have their own YouTube channels that take awesome pictures.
Yes. Yeah.
I can easily see them sending a picture or two if they can't make it to the Kentuckiana.
Yeah, you could do it remote.
How cool would that be, man?
Or as professionals, we used to do. I used to serve on the board for Professional Photographers of Indiana and on Professional Photographers of America. We actually had a dark room with these special lights on it and a pivoting, like, triangular device, and they would pivot around and they'd say the title of the image, and then the judges would judge and they'd look at different angles, and we would highly critique our own images. That's what really made professionals better, was a willingness to not be satisfied and to be critiqued. And I see the opposite happening nowadays. I see people all wanting likes. They're all searching. If there was another piece of advice, they're hunting those likes. And to be honest, those likes are coming from people that don't know what they're talking about. They just think it's pretty, and so the best thing you can do to improve your photography also, I would suggest, is be willing to ask people who are better than you, tell me your honest opinion. And Rick, to his credit, and maybe I was just being bossy, but he wanted to know. And so I said, well, okay, here's what I see. And I talked about lines and I talked about lighting. And he took an image of that Clint Eastwood it was fine, but he took it to the whole next level just by trying things himself and getting the principles, because lines, angles, stuff like that, it all matters. And that's your composition. The composition, that takes time to learn and train your eye. And it's important to remember the audience, not really what you think sometimes, is what the audience, how they perceive it, because the human eye reads left to right, and so you want to think about those kind of things and how you light it,
Yeah. There's a lot to learn. Lots to learn.
There is. And I'm still learning. And I think that's important too, to have that teachable mentality,
Yeah, sure.
But that's a great idea to have print competition. And I'd help judge it and anything they want to do, because that's really, would be fun. And you can even have an entry fee, do prints or something like an 8x10 or something like that. And, win prizes. I'd even bring a prize. I got some camera gear I could bring or something,
Nice.
Oh man, Steve Stovall, you got it all set up. All you got to do is hook him up with a room, man.
It'd be fun.
I just want to show Sean. I found that camera, the other one. So just put this one up real quick, and I won't show any more little toys for a minute. So
that looks like a Canon L glass, and where'd you get that from?
I got it online. I don't know if you. This is the back of it. I probably have to change my camera to the
you do.
Image
I'm
so
telling you every freaking week.
You're backwards.
Yeah, I
You're
know.
mirror
I'm
image,
gonna
bro.
try to. How do I mirror image here? Let me. There we go.
You've only been on here for 41 weeks.
Oh,
Looked like there was some
That
word
is awesome.
on the back that said ZY Toys.
yes, and that's the back.
Yeah.
So can you see it? ZY.
Yeah.
So get that ZY Toys. Check it out. I think it costs like $25, but it's definitely worth it. It's so detailed, and each lens fits into the housing of the camera, and the light goes on top. So this is an awesome set.
Yeah, it looks like a D1X that they've got there in the things. It looks like.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's a great set.
Cool.
Came with the Bigfoot. Came with my Bigfoot set, but I only made 3.
Yeah, that's great. I got that Yeti for free.
Did you?
Did you?
Yeah. He the guy sent me the wrong thing. I paid $26 for it plus shipping, which I thought was a steal. And it was one of the first things I ordered from eBay, and he sent it to me, and it showed up in a box this big, and it was a McNugget, a toy McNugget from McDonald's. And I was like, oh man, they're ripping me off. So I sent a message. He said, sorry, we sent you the wrong one. We sent the Yeti. So the Yeti went to like Massachusetts, where you are, Rick, or someplace, and then came back to Oregon, then went to Texas, the wrong address. He sent us the wrong address, then back to Oregon, then back to Louisville, where I'm near.
Wow.
And I was like, man, this Yeti's well traveled. So, but he refunded everything, so I was kind of happy I got it for free.
Heck yeah, man. Questions for our guest? Anybody?
Well, I got something I want to. Oh, sorry, Jim. I know, and I keep interrupting. When you're talking about photography, and then you just mentioned about the Yeti traveling, many people have done traveling Joes in the past. Now I started thinking, when you're talking about photography and you're thinking about putting it as part of one of the shows, why don't we do, as part of the Paul Knapp show, a traveling figure that goes around from all the different people that are on here, and then taking pictures and photography, and including that, like almost like a little photo comic that you do with that figure, and send it around with everybody who's on the show.
So I got to step in here, brother. That's how I met Jeff and Adam and everybody, because that's how they started the Axis of Awesome originally. They sent a figure around, and that's how the first 7 guys got involved.
Yeah, because that's what I remember when who was he always
Tom and Jeff and Adam and Peter and Pat. Yeah. So that's how they got started. That's how they created the.
And that's how I got my Aged Adventurer. My Aged Adventurer was a traveling Aged Adventurer, and then I did a photo comic with him, and I ended up winning. I ended up getting the first Aged Adventurer. So that was cool.
I did one of those traveling Joes, and every time you got them, you had to add something to the locker and send it on. So it was kind of neat.
Yeah. Very cool.
Go ahead, Jim. I'm going to cut Angelo off, and you can talk now.
I'm Mute Angelo. He's got his time in now.
I'm putting him in the green room. Go ahead.
I know a lot of people are really interested in some advice from a photographer. As a former graphic designer, you got your principles of design, the balance, proportion, sequence, unity, emphasis, all the good kind of stuff. Can you talk to us when you're shooting 1/6 scale figures? It seems like the challenge is the focal length, the depth of field. Can you talk to us about how you fix that so everything's not super blurry up close and sharp in the background? Can you give us some tips on those sorts of things?
Yeah, that's great. So, Jim, there's a couple ways we could fix that. One would be to certainly increase our depth of field. And so here's a camera, for example. And so you can't really see this happening now so well in the digital space, but you're going to have something called aperture, which is your opening of your lens, okay? And then you're going to have your shutter speed and then your ISO. So those 3 things go together to create the right exposure. And so if this is overexposed, underexposed, you want to try to get things correct. Well, one of those things is when you change the aperture, you're also messing with what we call the depth of field. And so it works differently than you might think. A f16 would be a very small, tiny pinhole of light coming through, or f22 or f32. The higher the number, the greater the depth of field. But it also depends on the lens that you use. So you might use one that's, and you set it higher to f11 or f16 or something like that. These are functions of the aperture number. But then you're using a lens that is long focal length, and that compresses the image. So it's all about, I talked about experimenting with it earlier. But the second method, so one would be increase your depth of field. And you can certainly look that up on YouTube and talk about how to change that. But another method would be called hyperfocal length. And so you could take an image, and I'll give you a little tip here on Photoshop. You could take an image, and let's say the first G.I. Joe's in focus, but then you don't want the second one back here out of focus. You want them both in focus. Well, you could take one in focus, take a second picture where he's in focus, and you could blend those together in Photoshop. One method is, if you have an image, a lot of people don't know this in Photoshop, but if you have an exact same pixels, exact same height and width, and everything is copacetic on both images, if you will hit Shift in Photoshop and drag it to the other, it will pixel for pixel match it. Then you simply would layer part of that, and you would use a soft brush to sort of blend them together. So that would be a way you could do it, and fake it till you make it type of a thing if you wanted. So that would be two different ways to do it. But increasing your aperture on your, and again, if you're doing phone photography, you're probably not going to have those options. That's why I like a camera, because you can control things.
Gotcha.
Does that help?
Thanks for that. It's another thing is, it seems like you're fisheye on a camera or on a phone camera. If you get too close, it kind of blows everything out of proportion or whatnot. Is there a way to kind of fix that's easy for somebody who doesn't have an expensive digital SLR type camera?
Well, I kind of know my area, I guess, which is, pro cameras, pro lenses, pro software. But the concepts would be the same, is that if somehow you could, if you're using an iPad or an iPhone, something that involves layers. So think of it like a piece of paper. Have you ever done a flip book where you've got different characters and they change? That's layers, right? There's different layers. And so then as long as you can match those layers on top of each other and then take away this part so that, just that shows through. Does that make sense? So anything, a program that involves layering so that you can brush out what you want, that would be one way to do it.
All right. Well, I've got a million questions, so I'm not going to sit here and keep peppering you with them. But I find all this just fascinating. Like I say, I used to be a graphic designer, and photography was a piece of it, but I was never very good at it. And back in my day, it was all film and 35 millimeter and, Nikon F1s and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was
right. I come from
different
the
world
film
now.
era.
Yeah.
Right. And there's things that we had to learn, and you had to learn how to do a multiple exposure. I remember I did a multiple exposure with a golf ball in the foreground, and then I actually put myself as the golfer, and then I put American Airlines in the background. This is before Photoshop. I did it very carefully with multiple exposures and different things on one piece of film. And so those methods still apply to today. They're just can be done digitally and quicker and faster and with more, taking a lot of the limits off.
Action Joe Figs has a question. He says, I'm struggling with lighting on my videos. Is there anything you can do?
So for videos, I mean, certainly video is a different animal, and I have done video. I love video. Video is fascinating. But let's just talk lighting in general, and these would apply to both, okay? Now, I will say, if you mean you're not getting enough light, that's a quantity issue. But I want to talk to you about quality issue. And to do that, I've actually kind of did a little preparation here with my switch. I'm going to turn those lights off, and I want to show you that this is just a little bit of light from the other room far away, right? But if I take this simple thing that I bought at Aldi, it's an LED. It's got a very pointed light source, right? And so see the quality of the light? It's kind of ugly, right? Mm-hmm. It's not really pretty. But if I were to put something simple like this little cloth in front of it and maybe change it to the wider source, it now becomes a little different quality, if you will. Now, some of that flare's coming on that lens on my iPad, but you see how I changed the quality of the light? You see how I got that split? Now, there's something else called monster lighting. You're seeing it a little bit right now. If I come in here and I just bring the light underneath the subject, and suddenly I look like I'm going to hurt somebody, right? It's the same concept here. This is called monster shadows, okay? Anything like this. I like it better from down low, but that's the same concept. But then, if I want to go at about a 45, now I start to get into a portrait lighting. And I might even bring, by the way, this is $1.99 at Harbor Freight.
Oh, yeah.
And I might bring a different kind of lighting, okay? And this one actually has two sources, both of these do. And so now I've got what we would call sort of an even lighting, where I don't have a lot of shadows and I'm even in it. But just by changing the angle, look at what that does to me. If you want your G.I. Joe to look fierce, oh, and then what happens if we change the background lights? You know, suddenly now what? Now there's a big distraction in the background. So that's lighting. That's also we're thinking about what's in the background. That's one thing I was talking to Rick about was, you know, a lot of times the eye goes this way or that way. And here's another method you can use. Squint. When you're looking at your subject or your print or you're on the screen, do this. Just squint real hard and look at the image. And the first thing you see is probably the brightest thing. And if that's not your subject or not what you want people to see first, then that thing is a distraction from what you're trying to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
So that lighting, these are cheap. These are really cheap. I got 3 of these at Aldi for like $15, I think.
Yeah. Andy from Indy said something his wife said is that you're taking pictures of the shadows, not the light. Is that true?
I mean, I wouldn't disagree with the lady, you know, but I would say that you're doing both. I mean, you can't changing the angle of a person. You know, for example, I'll give you an example. It's not just one thing. I think anytime you want to say this is the one thing, this is the one rule. And as pros, what we're trying to do is occasionally break those rules. But you got to do it in a way that it works for the story you're trying to tell, like the shadows. Like I would never use monster shadows on some woman I'm trying to make look pretty because she don't want to look that way, right? But let's say I was photographing a politician that wants to look tougher. Well, maybe I would use a little of that or something, you know. So I do think the shadows make things interesting. I will say that, but it's not universal. You know, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself or get in a rut and say that's absolute. That did remind me of something though that she said there. Well, I can't think of it now, but go ahead.
Questions, Mike?
Yeah, I got one. What's your, you know, for someone getting into photography, they're wanting to upgrade from their phone. Do you have any suggestion for like maybe a $99 camera or a $199 camera? You know, something.
Absolutely. And I want y'all to get your pen and paper ready to write this down because I don't get anything off of this. Whenever I used to speak and teach to other pros, I'm not interested in that. I'm just interested in helping people. But I do use a place in Indianapolis for my used gear, and I highly recommend getting used gear if you can. You know, my camera's new, but a lot of times I still do photography on the side, and you know when you're getting paid for that, that's different. You know, so but usedphotopro.com. Now this is a place based in Indianapolis. It's actually a camera store, and there aren't many camera stores left anymore, just so you know. But they serve a lot of professionals and amateurs alike and have classes. But they also created this subdivision called Used Photo Pro, which basically is now half of their store. And they sell to people all around the world. Well, they're having a 10% off Black Friday thing going right now. And their prices are already cheap. And their gear has already been checked out really well. So, and I think they offer... It's crazy. It's like a 90-day guarantee, or maybe it's 30, or maybe it's 180. I don't know. It's a pretty long guarantee for you to try it out.
It's 180. 180.
What's that?
It's 180.
180 days. Yeah. That's great. Now, obviously, if you drop the camera or you take it to the beach, by the way, beach is the #1 killer of cameras. The little sand is in the air, and it's horrible for cameras. But then that's on you, I would assume. But man, I mean, to try that and make sure, and just have to pay shipping probably to send it back. That's a pretty good deal on cameras, I can tell you that. So, but I like B&H too. They're a big company out of New York for new gear. But I will say their used gear isn't as good a price as this place. But the 10% off is nice. So I like that. But to answer your question, so and I'm going to wade into stuff that, photographers are very brand loyal. There's Chevy and Ford and all that. Well, there's Nikon, there's Canon, there's Sony. Those are your probably 3 biggest players right now. I would put those in order. I like Canon the best because there's more used, because I'm a cheapo, and there's more used lenses out there of that than anything. And they're quality stuff. And you can get a DSLR, which would be older technology. I think they've got one up there now that's like a Canon Rebel 5i, I think, for about $100. And then after you take the 10% off, it's probably close to 90. So that's pretty good. I also like the Canon 5D Mark III that Rick got. That is a full frame camera. So that means it's gonna affect not just the amount of pixels, but the amount of light. They take in more light when they have a full frame. But I really like Canon. I would say second, though, if you wanted to, would be Sony. But I will say their used stuff, there's not as much out there. It's mostly newer stuff and more expensive. Their lenses are very pricey. You also can go Canon's mirrorless if you want to go new, and I do use that now. But the DSLRs you'll find them on there for really good prices. I mean, a camera that a few years ago was like $2,000, $2,500 is now $400 or $500. So, and then as far as lenses go, let me throw this at you real quick. I've recommended to Rick. I said, Rick, are you going to shoot just toys, or are you going to shoot, kids playing soccer or other stuff? When he said, I'm just going to shoot toys, I really recommended prime lenses. And that means it's just 85 millimeter or just 50 or just 135. And the reason why is because they do have a bigger opening to create a shallower depth of field. You were talking about depth of field, Jim. I usually prefer to not have a great depth of field because I don't want my background distracting. But if you're doing a photo story and you want it that way, you can make it that way. But I prefer to see a shallow depth of field where just my subject's in the way. So now in this image, I did want a longer depth of field, but this is actually 130 images to make one image. So I'm kind of really nutty, but I'm not doing photo stories. I'm doing one image typically is what I'm interested in. But I did want the stone zombies in focus. I wanted him in focus. I wanted their backs in focus.
So we can see him.
Yep. Hang on.
Okay.
Maybe can you put that closer to your camera and like talk behind it? Maybe.
Yeah.
A little bit of a glare, but it's all right. It's not bad.
That's okay. Let me turn this one off.
That was the one you just did, yeah?
Oh, there.
Yeah, better.
Does that look better?
Yep. We got one square light.
Let's see here. When you're
It's the
you're all
monitor.
about the lighting.
Yeah, it's your monitor. I think it's your monitor. It's all right.
Oh, it is my monitor. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the one you posted that on Facebook, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I just posted it on there. Let's see here. Okay, well, let's plug this back in. Sorry, guys.
Nah, you're too dark.
Yeah, I know it. There we go.
Yeah, that's good.
There's still a little bit of glare, but basically I wanted multiple things. But you see these stones over here that are supposed to be the edge of the cliff that he's down inside of? That's only one piece. I just replicated it by shooting it at different angles and adding it in Photoshop.
Okay.
That's amazing.
And I put a light on this to make these light up, and then I added the swirls in as if they're trying to do mind control. The stone zombies, and he's escaping the pit. And so one thing I use too, I'll give you this little tip here. These are great. You can find these on Amazon. And so I was able to control where I wanted him at that tilt because he was actually, falling down. So I was able to put this behind his back and this here, and this would go on like on a stand or a tripod to hold things in place. These are inexpensive. on Amazon. I don't even know what they're called, but just like an arm thing, you know.
Yep.
They got clips.
That's great.
Another thing I suggest is that you have a heavy duty tripod, because you're doing still life. If you wanted to do multiple images like I did there and then later merge them together, well, if you handhold it, you can't do that. You have to get it rigged. And even then, I consider this a light, because I've had some camera stands and stuff that weighs, I mean, like 400 pounds or something. They're really heavy. But because I want to lock that thing down and I don't want any vibration on the camera, because especially on longer focal length, that'll really show up. So having a good tripod so that you can lock it down. And then the nice thing is you go work on your toy, you work on your stuff. You don't worry about the camera stays in place. So that's another good suggestion.
Yep.
I prefer the brand Manfrotto. They're made out of Italy. They also make this, and this is for a phone. And I really like this right here. So you can turn it, pivot it, but it expands to hold the phone. We've seen stuff like that, but this one's made out of metal, and it just really holds the camera down good if you're going to use that. So I'm not opposed to phone photography. It's neat. It's a great place to start.
Logic Blaster said if you're shooting videos of toys, use a lot of light and shoot close ups. Shoot B-roll, which I have no idea what that is. When
Sure.
you can.
So
Explain
yeah, B-roll would be, so right now you're doing A-roll with me. I'm talking to you, so on and so forth. But let's say as I'm talking to you, my voice goes over, but then you start to see my video of my G.I. Joes, like a close-up of them. That would be the second camera that's adding story to the audio and the video.
Right on. Okay. And
Shawn, could I jump in and ask a question? Are you going to create maybe a coffee table book or something with all your toy photography?
No, because nobody buys photography anymore. You can't make a living in this business anymore. That's the truth. I mean, that's if you want to do wedding photography, but I'm at a point in my career where I like my family and I don't want to kill myself if I have to do another wedding. So,
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Not to cut you off. I'm curious because you've been in the business for so long. The AI, the artificial intelligence, and what's your take on that? Because some people are saying that's killing photography. But with your editing, and I edit using apps, that's AI.
Yeah.
So where is the art of photography and the art of graphic artist? Where does it come in go? Is that a legitimate question? I
No, I
talked
think
to
it's
Angelo about
yeah.
this a while back.
I mean, I think it's just like at one point, I like to equate photography to cooking. I could go out and buy Gordon Ramsay's cookware and his silverware and all this stuff. I'm still not going to be Gordon Ramsay, right? I'm not going to be able to cook like that guy does. None of us would. So I think there's a knowledge thing there, but there's also the fact that, like it used to be, you had, just people who had cameras, right? There would be at the bottom of the pyramid. And at the top, you would have, as far as money makers go, you would have your Olin Mills or your J.C. Penney's. These people knew how to make money with photography, right? And then some people maybe were hired by National Geographic, and those were the top of the pyramid. But the middle of the pyramid was what I used to do, the portrait photographers, the guy who was in a small town. And to be honest, those guys are gone. The Professional Photographers of Indiana was an association that they've been around for over 100 years. They're gone. Same way with other pros. So many of the pros have left the business. And so then you've got now people who are, independent, nothing wrong with that, but maybe they never studied lighting. They never did this, but everybody tells them to take good pictures and they'll photograph your wedding for $100. So, who's to say? I don't know that it's a bad thing. It's just change. AI is the same way. I think it's interesting. I played with it online, but I kept trying to tell it to make a Yeti fighting a G.I. Joe with an orange outfit on, like I wanted, and it kept making the gun crooked, and it kept messing up. But they were cool images. I just don't think there's a level of control there. So for me, photography is about now just enjoying it. It's not about making a living off of it anymore. I wish the best to everybody who's still doing that, but it's a hard road to hoe now, I would say.
So if you take a photo, whether it's on a camera or an iPhone, and then you use apps to edit it, like, just like I did with the, like you coached me through that Clint Eastwood shot. So is that photography, or is it something else?
I think it is, because, got to remember, back in the old days with film, we still tried to manipulate images. This is just a more advanced, different way of manipulating images. I think, for example, soft focus filters. Remember how Barbara Walters, they'd show an interview with her and she was always soft and glowing, but then the person they're interviewing isn't, Well, that's this. You know what that is? Here's how we used to make that filter in film days, right here. You wipe your nose and you get your nose grease, right? And you can put it on a filter, and you could make just the edges soft or the whole thing soft. You could actually buy a filter that, you would buy real filters for that. It's called a soft effect filter. People put makeup on back in the day. They still had lighting techniques. So it's really not, oh, that's interesting. Somebody said it's a tool, not a crutch. I think that's exactly what it is. AI could teach you some things and new ways of getting you out of the rut that I spoke about at the very beginning, being willing to try new things. But, if it's good or bad, it is what it is. It's
all my photos I've been doing this for like almost 4 years now, just shooting GI Joes and toys and stuff. And that was one of the things I tried to do, was different, not just the same thing. So when someone saw a shot, they didn't say, "Oh, that's Rick Bradshaw." But I do have a style that I go to, or an angle that I seem to float to all the time. But I do try to change that up,
Well, with that camera we got you, dude, your world's about to explode. You're about to go from, just knowing, Massachusetts to all of a sudden you're going to know the universe, and so you're going to have a lot of potential. And I think that's really what the camera affords you, is control. But then if you don't know what to do with that level of control, that's the whole other thing. That's why we need to always challenge ourselves and learn,
Yeah.
Yep. We're running out of time, guys. We could talk this all night, I think. Man,
right.
But...
Yeah.
One last thing. Can you use video with those cameras as well? Can you?
A lot of them you can. Yeah. Now you'll want to look that up as you're looking at the used ones. Does that do video or not? I think Rick's does. Yeah. The one we got him, that was about $400.
Yeah.
But some of them will. I certainly and I think video is a lot of fun. Now I will say, if I were to get one of the DSLRs for both photography and video, make sure you get one that's got a mic in and a headphone jack out, because you really don't go watch movies. You listen to them. That's what George Lucas even said. He's like, you actually go for the music, and the pretty Star Wars stuff is just fluff to go with the beautiful music. So a lot of people get video, but then they don't get the audio right. So I would really encourage you to get the audio right.
That's great. A lot of information. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have you back on, brother.
About this. Anybody that goes to Winterfest, or you want to reach out to me, well,
you need to reach out to Mr. Steve Stovall if he's still watching. He's the guy that puts on the
I actually sent him an email before this with some ideas. So.
Definitely. Hey, we didn't get to play a game last week there, Mr. Jim Egner. You got, what was that?
I said, crap.
Yeah, so we got to make up for that. And I still have the questions that I was going to ask last week. So we're going to go with that, okay? Sean, I don't know if you're familiar with my show, but we do a trivia at the end of the show. Okay, right on. All right.
This is going to be the highlight of my day. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So we're just going to stay in order as it goes. This one's easy, man. I'm telling you. You guys are all 70s kind of guys, right? Well, maybe not Mike.
Well, Mike, yeah.
A little bit. I know a lot more than you'd think, but yeah.
Okay. So you remember,
I'm an 80s guy, but I know some 70s.
You've heard of MASH.
I forgot it all.
I graduated high school in 77.
Oh, dude, you're going to kick ass on this one. All right.
I mean, all I watch
86.
is.
So this is a combination of, I think it's music and television. So,
yeah, I watch
Mike, you're up first. You're up first. Which show featured two young women who shared an apartment and worked in a bottling factory?
Oh man,
come on, man.
That's too easy.
Yeah, Laverne and Shirley.
Well, I'm tired of giving you guys two hard ones and nobody.
You got to say what kind of beer was it?
Oh yeah, shots, right?
Yeah,
Was it shots beer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which show featured characters Jack, Janet, and Chrissy?
Oh
That would be
my!
for you, Sean.
For me,
Yeah,
that's
we're going around the
Three's
horn.
Company.
That is Three's Company, sir.
Don't-
Which show followed the lives and careers of three brand new police officers in the Santa Costa Police Department? I remember this, but
The Rookies, wasn't it?
yes, sir, the Rookies. I don't think
Very
Angela
good,
would have gotten
Rick.
that one, man. No. Which show featured a character whose closest companion was a grizzly bear?
Grizzly Adams.
I had a
Yeah.
trash can. I had a grizzly Adams trash can, man. Which show featured characters Pete, Link, and Julie avoiding jail by helping police catch the bad guys?
Oh, that's a good one.
Mod Squad.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, I didn't know that one. That's a
That
good
was
one,
tough.
man. In which show did Angie Dickinson portray Sergeant Pepper Anderson?
Oh,
Mike,
I know.
Mike, back to you. Mike,
Yeah. I know a lot about classic TV. That's all I watch.
I know that one.
But I'm drawing a big
time's up. Time's up. Anybody?
Yeah,
That's
Police
Yeah, I
Woman.
know. Police
Everyone.
Woman.
Police woman.
Oh,
She
never
used
heard
a
of it.
38 special.
Angie
Seven.
Dickinson. She was 19 years old in
Oh, really?
that John
Wow.
Wayne movie.
Oh, John Wayne movie.
Yeah.
Darren McGavin played a reporter who investigated crimes of a supernatural nature in which TV show?
Kolchak, the Night Stalker.
Damn, dude, you're good.
No, that's an easy one.
It's an easy one. You helped Sean out because it was Sean's turn.
Oh, was it?
Sorry.
I thought I answered Police Woman.
So now it goes to no, that was Mike's.
That's
Right.
where they got a lot of the X-Files from Kolchak.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
It was.
all right. What's my question?
Now we're getting into little action figure stuff here. Which
Uh-oh.
action figure was not included with the Justice League team members in the Migos Pocket Superhero line? I had that for our guest last week, Mr. Brick Mantooth.
Don't ask me because I don't know the Migos, but I would say the Wonder Twins.
No. But close. Close.
Yes.
Yep.
I never heard of Migos till last week when that guy was talking about them. That's how
really?
much I don't know.
Wow. I know Jeff at Skunkworks, if he's watching, he knows the answer to this one. Three's Company. No.
It's over to Big Jim. Big Jim.
Jim Megner?
I haven't got a clue.
Green Lantern.
They
Green
didn't have
Lantern.
Green Lantern, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Angelo, which medium was the basis of both Mattel's Flash Gordon and Gabriel's Zorro action figure lines? What medium did they use to get the information out?
I'm not understanding the question, sir.
How did they get the info out to the public about their figures? The Mattel's Flash Gordon, how did they advertise it? And Gabriel's Zorro action figure lines.
I can guess.
Cartoon.
Yeah, comic
You are-
books.
Saturday
Cartoon.
morning cartoons is when they posted their
Oh, yeah.
commercials, man.
Yeah.
Saturday morning cartoons. This unlikely hero's signature rescue call became the anthem for Saturday morning cartoon watchers in the late 1970s. I do remember this one. Jim?
Is that for me?
Yes, sir.
Ah, crap. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Is he a hairy dude?
Yeah. Yes, he is.
He's a little hairy dude with a big,
Yep.
and it used to open up and had his bird.
Yep.
Come on, guys.
Nobody knows it? Come on, man.
Captain,
I don't know.
Captain Caveman, man.
Captain Caveman.
Oh,
You
Captain
remember that?
Caveman. Hey, my
I know
wife
Captain
was just in the
Caveman.
other room and she was listening.
I think me and
She goes,
Angelo
"Captain
grew up-
That was
Caveman."
right when I stopped watching cartoons.
All right. Well, you're not going to get this next one. In the Smurfs, why did the villain Gargamel want to capture the little blue creatures?
Hmm.
That was the whole premise of the entire show. He was chasing them all the time. Captain Caveman. Andy from Indy got it. Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, I don't know the Smurf question. I didn't watch Smurfs.
Anybody? Smurfs?
I always thought he wanted to eat them.
Yeah.
No.
He's going to eat them.
No.
That's what I thought too.
He was trying to make a potion.
Oh,
So they would turn to gold, or he would get gold somehow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You got three questions left. So that would be Rick. I guess
Yep.
you're up. What was the name of the cartoon fueled by pop music of the early 1970s?
All women
Yes, it
Oh,
was.
with
Oh,
ears.
Gotta be
yep.
Josie and the Pussycats.
Josie and the Pussycats. Yes, sir.
That
Josie
was a
and the
great one.
Which broadcast network was the first to stop airing Saturday morning cartoons?
Ooh.
You got three guesses there. Three
Long
chances,
one.
right?
Can I guess? Or
Well, it's Angelo's turn, but if you
Oh,
want to
that's
jump
all right.
on.
oh, go ahead.
We don't really have an order here. We just fucking go wherever.
Yeah, I don't know. NBC.
Yes, NBC. Good.
That was
Well, it's
gonna be
CBS, NBC, or ABC. I mean, those are your cartoon networks, right? All right, Jim, we got to bring us home with this one, brother. Which Saturday morning cartoon character was known for the phrase, "Hey, hey, hey"?
oh,
Fat Albert.
Yeah.
that's right.
I had to say it like that, man.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to bring you back in, our special guest tonight, Mr. Shawn. Where you at? There you are, buddy. And if you want to give your 5 minutes of fame here, if you want to put out your YouTube channel, a link, website, whatever you want to say.
I don't know. I mean, Shawn Wright, SHAWN WRIGHT. I do have a YouTube channel. I'm trying to put up some content when I have time to. And I'm working on a video for that RV thing because someday I want to grow up and be like Paul. But
Oh, please don't.
but no, I say I'd like for people to come to Winterfest. That's actually going to be here in my hometown. Anybody that comes, I'm going to try to get their early bird thing and get to meet anybody I can from there. But I also want to. I wanted to tell you about some Black Friday deals. Again, I mentioned the one at Use Photo Pro, but let me see if I can find my notes here. If you can't afford Photoshop and you do want to do some computer editing, Affinity, AFFINITY Photo 2, it's actually on sale right now for 40% off. So rather than I pay a monthly fee for my Photoshop, because it's so stupid, the subscription models. But this you would actually like own it for. It's about $60 normally. I think it'd be about 40. But that'll do a lot of what Photoshop will do, and you don't have to spend so much. And also Topaz, TOPAZ, they have some pretty good deals on software right now. But mainly that Use Photo Pro if you need gear. And if you want to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook, a lot of those posts and places like that. That's probably the best way to reach me. And feel free to message me, and I'll be able to help you.
Right on, brother. So people might be able to see you at the Indianapolis show, Kentuckiana
Winterfest.
The Winterfest. Yep.
Shepherdsville, Kentucky,
Yeah.
right by Louisville.
Yeah, I think they're holding the
hope to be
same place.
there. Yeah. But and I'll be hanging out on this and always live streaming here with you guys. I mean, for terms of being on the chats. So
Yep. Well, don't forget about next week. Again, our special guest Felipe. He was just on Jeff's show this past week, so check him out there. And then he was awesome, man. He's a great creator. Hopefully, we can get Greg Brown back on too with him. So.
Oh, one more thing, Paul.
Yep.
If somebody's watching this later and it's not this week of Black Friday, that company has something called Take 5, TAKE, the number 5. That gives them 5% off of that.
Anytime.
Code anytime of the year. Yeah. So.
Great, man. All right, guys.
All
I guess
right.
that's it for tonight. We went a
Awesome
little
show.
over, but I think we're good.
Great job. Everything worked well. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice show.
I don't think my internet crashed at all, but I'm gonna have to go watch it now. Make sure.
Enjoy. Thanks, guys.
All right,
Have a
guys.
good night.
Have
Happy
a great
Thanksgiving,
week.
everybody.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
Happy
Have a happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, man.